Prayers.
Almighty God, who in their infinite wisdom and provision and providential the goodness have appointed the officers of leaders and parliament for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you look upon with the abundant favor these your servant whom you have been pleased to call to perform such important tasks in this land. Let your blessing descend upon here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat, consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and a faithful manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interest you have committed to their charge. Amen.
Item 2 on the order paper. Communication from the chair.
I'll deal with that when the body is in. Next.
The casket is transferred from the central lobby to the chamber. Members, honorable members, please stand up. Members, please resume your seats. Item 4 on the order paper, laying of wreath on the casket by dignitaries in the following order. We start with the Right Honourable Speaker. His Excellency the Vice President. The Right Honourable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business. The Leader of the Opposition in Parliament. The Government Chief Whip. The Chief Opposition Whip. Minister of State for Health, General Duties. The Parliamentary Commission. The Dean of Independence. UPC Whip. Toro District Members of Parliament. Buked Sub-Region. Democratic Party Whip. Buganda Parliamentary Caucus. Bugisu Parliamentary Caucus. UPDF Caucus. Parliamentary Rotarians. Reverend Father Lokodo Simon, Honorable. Honorable Katumba Wamala. Honorable Jacob Oboth. Honorable Yeri Ofono Apol. And last but not least, Parliamentary Forum on Quality Health Services. Item 5 on the order paper, motion for resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to the late Rotarian Sam Owori, Rotary International President-elect, 2018-19.
Thank you. Let me use this time to make some announcements and some recognitions before the Right Honourable Prime Minister can move this motion. The family is immediately behind me on the technical bench. And I have messages of condolence from different people. Details will be read at the funeral, but let me just recognize that there's one from the Office of the Government Chief Whip to the family. It's addressed by the Honorable Ruth Ankabira, Government Chief Whip. There's a message from the Honorable Yeri Apollo Ofono, Member of Parliament, Tororo Municipality. There's a condolence message from the Mayor of Tororo Municipality, Mayor John Opio. There's one signed by Opata Peter on behalf of the Jopadola. It's a condolence message on behalf of the Jopadola community. Those are the messages. And honorable members, as I welcome you to this sitting, it's a unique sitting. I have never had this number of presidents and former presidents and governors in the House. Today is a unique one. And in this situation, governors are higher than presidents. Can you imagine that? To have a situation where governors are actually higher in rank than presidents. It can only happen in Rotary. And today we are in this unique situation to celebrate life of an icon gone too soon. Let me recognize Dean Law, Rotary International Vice President, who is here. Yinka Babalole, Rotary International Director-elect. Ken Wycliffe Mugisha, Rotary District Governor, District 9211. Geta Manik, Rotary Zone Coordinator. Harry Kimani, Rotary Regional Foundation Coordinator. Shanika Brat, Director, District Governor-elect, District 9211. Stephen Mwanje, Rotary Past District Governor. Xavier Sentamu, District Governor nominee. Henry Chamber, Past District Governor, District 9200. Chris Motalia, Past Governor, District 9200. Emmanuel Katongole, past District Governor, District 9200. Francis Tusu, past District Governor, District 9200. Nelson Kawalia, past District Governor, District 9200. Mike Sabalu, past Assistant District Governor, 9200. Godfrey Sebukulu, past Assistant Director, Governor, 9211. LC Kadigas, District 6490 USA. Rebecca Mutawe Mukasa, Country Chair, Uganda. Richard Were, Assistant Governor. We also have Honorable John Livingston Okelo, Honorable Santos Alima, Honorable John Kawanga, Honorable Anthony Butele, Honorable Israel Mayengo, Honorable Michael Mabike, Honorable Zachary Olum, Honorable Dr. Lulume Baiga, Honorable P.K. Semogerere, that is Paulo Kawanga, Semogerere, Dr. Jamaina Semogerere, they have a relationship, the two names I've just read. Honorable Bazira Sewanyana, Honorable Mudirikat Mukasa, Honorable Joseph Balikudembe. They're here to join us in this moment. We also have Honorable Colonel Chris Mudola, Honorable Professor Sebakula Chiwanuka, Honorable Dr. Robert Sebunya, Honorable Dr. Eli Karwanga, Honorable Anthony Butele, have I read that before? Honorable Mayego, Dr. Sam Okwonzi, Honorable, and Honorable Grace Oburu. These are members who have come to be part of this commemoration. And if I get more, these are the names that I have, but I'll be recognizing more as we go. Right, Honorable? And just for the record, I am also honorary Rotarian for Kampala Central.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to Sam Frobisher Owori, President-elect, Rotary International, for their 2018-2019, and I'm moving this motion under Rule 47 of the Rules of Procedure of this august House. Right Honorable Speaker, whereas Parliament of Uganda notes with deep sorrow the untimely death of Mr. Sam Frobisher Owori, President-elect, Rotary International, 2018-2019, which occurred on 13th of July, 2017 in Dallas, Texas, in the United States of America. And whereas Sam Owori joined Rotary in 1978, at a time of his infancy in Uganda, his desire to serve others enabled him get elected as the president of the Rotary Club of Kampala and subsequently governor of Rotary District 920. Noting that Sam Owori was committed to the objectives of Rotary and contributed immensely to the development of Rotary in Uganda by widening Rotary footprint across the country, as well as within the 13 countries in East and Central Africa that were under his leadership. And further noting that at the time of his demise, Sam Owori was poised to become the president of Rotary International, His election to this position would have made him the second person from the African continent to hold this position. Recognizing that Sam Owori lived an exemplary life of humility and service that endeared him not only to Rotary in Uganda, but also to Rotary International. Now, therefore, be it resolved that 1. Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the bereaved family, relatives, friends, Rotarians, and the people of Uganda at large for the tragic loss of a distinguished son of this country. 2. Parliament takes cognizance of the dedicated service and contribution that Sam Owori has, in the course of his illustrious life, rendered to the people of Uganda. 3, that this Parliament collectively prays to the Almighty God to sustain the bereaved and grant our departed colleague and friend, Sam Owori, eternal peace. Right Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to move.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Leader of the Opposition, the Dean of the Independents, Member from Mbale Municipality, Member for Ruchiga County, Member for Dokolo South. Those are sufficient secondment. Would you like to speak to your motion, Right Honorable?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, the country woke up on 13th of July 2017 to the shocking news of the passing on of our friend and elder, Sam Frobisher Owori. Owori, an accomplished gentleman, was set to assume the top leadership of the global Rotary fraternity as its international president in July 2018. He would have been the second African and the first Ugandan to ascend to this position in Rotary's 110 years of history. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, Sam Owori, a distinguished banker, economist, and lawyer, Owori was a man of impeccable integrity and humility. He demanded discipline and professionalism in the many responsibilities he held during his illustrious career. The pouring in of moving tributes from people all over the world and from all walks of life, from ordinary people to top leaders, is testimony to the kind of man Sam was. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, on learning about Sam Owori's passing on, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni commiserated with the family and directed that an official send-off be accorded to our departed brother in recognition of the tremendous contribution that he has made and the pride he has brought to our country. Right Honorable Speaker, on a personal note, I first met Sam Owori in the late 1960s when I joined him and others in the leadership of the National Union of Students of Uganda, where he was our senior. Even at that time, Owori stood out for his determination and willingness to serve. He was a natural leader. He was a just man. He believed in championing the cause of those who are less privileged. And it is therefore not surprising that he moved on to offer this kind of great service and leadership through Rotary, as well as through many other positions that he held in many different countries and in many different institutions. Right Honorable Speaker, Rotarians have the four-way test of the way they think, the way they do things. These fall under the following parameters. Number one, they ask, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair for all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and a better friendship? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Our departed brother truly lived and walked by the above principles and answered them in the affirmative. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, born in 1941 in Kidera Village, Kisoko Sub-County, West Budama County, in Tororo District, Sam attended Kisoko Primary School and later joined King's College Budo for his O and advanced level. Thereafter, he joined Makerere University, where he studied economics. He then embarked on a career as a banker that spanned over 50 years. In the course of his career, he did several other postgraduate courses in the United Kingdom, the US, and other parts of the world, obtaining a master's degree in employment law and an MBA, and a number of other professional qualifications. In his 50 years plus years of banking career, Sam Owori served in many places, including as a director, Uganda Development Bank, African Trade and Insurance Agency as a director of Post Bank, an executive director of African Development Bank, chairman and managing director, Uganda Commercial Bank, and corporation secretary of the Bank of Uganda. He was also deputy president of the Uganda Institute of Bankers. He also served on very many other boards. Right Honorable Speaker, since becoming a member of Rotary in 1978, Sam Owori dedicated his life to the works and values of the Rotary movement, rising through the ranks from the national level to being elected its international president. He has been a true champion of Rotary causes, of promoting peace, fighting disease, fighting for the provision of clean water, supporting education, and also supporting the cause of saving the life and lives of mothers. Right Honorable Speaker, Sam Owori, the country and the world has lost an icon, a true son who we are proud of indeed. We extend our condolences to the family, especially the widow Nora and the children, Rotary International Fraternity, the people of Tororo, and the country at large for this great loss. Right Honorable Speaker, sir, what was the cause of death? Sam Owori had surgery for a lipoma, possibly a liposarcoma, some swelling on the body. On the 11th of July 2017, he developed post-operative bleeding and was returned to theater on the 12th of July 2017. He, however, continued bleeding in spite of getting blood transfusion with platelets, and also being treated with blood clotting factors. In spite of the treatment, as described above, the bleeding continued, and this led to, or was associated with, liver failure, kidney failure, and a failure of the respiratory system. And he developed what in the medical world is often referred to as disseminated intravascular coagulopathy. And he passed on the 13th of July 2017. Right Honorable Speaker, may the Almighty God rest Sam's soul in eternal peace.
Right Honorable, can you repeat the other words in English this time?
Right Honorable Speaker, when there is bleeding, it may lead to the liver being affected, and the liver is the factory that manufactures clotting factors in the body, and when the liver gives way, it leads to other organs also being affected and bleeding becoming continuous. And as I said, this, because it affects the whole body, it goes into all the vessels, and therefore it is described as intravascular, disseminated because it is everywhere, intravascular because it is in the vessels, coagulopathy because it is clotting problems, hence disseminated intravascular coagulopathy. Thank you, sir.
Honorable members, I requested that on your behalf because for me I understood everything. We also have Edward Kakembo Nsubuga, past Assistant Governor. We have Amina Namokasa, District Rotaract Representative. They are here. We also had students, I think, they're still here, from Chinawa High School, represented by Honorable Munyagwa Mubarak and Honorable Nabila Sempala. They're here to observe the proceedings. I think they've just left, but they have gone. Is the motion seconded by the leader of the opposition? Please speak. Also, we have received a condolence message from Right Honorable Jago, Prime Minister of Tieng Adola, Obo Richard Josel. Proceed.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion paying tribute to the fallen Rotarian Sam Frobisher Owori, the President-elect of the Rotary International 2018-2019. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of myself, the opposition in Parliament, I grieve for the abrupt demise of our own distinguished son of the soil, the late Rotarian Sam Frobisher Owori. Deep condolences to the bereaved family, relatives, friends, and the Adola community, and all the Rotarians. Right Honorable Speaker, the truth be told, this is a massive blow to the country, and particularly the Rotary fraternity. For sure, he will be greatly missed. Nevertheless, the Lord gives and takes what belongs to him. Right Honorable Speaker, despite the shock of his death, I am specifically thankful to the late for his extremely high profile biography as an accomplished Rotarian and a professional banker. His legacy is worth emulating by each one of us, basing on the positive contributions and the impact he made in the Rotary arena and even beyond. I have no doubt he really deserves this special session organized by Parliament. I am also grateful to the government for accepting to offer him a state funeral. Right Honorable Speaker, in August 2016, the late Rotarian Sam Frobisher Owori was nominated to head Rotary International as the president for the year 2018-2019. He was the first past district governor of the Rotary Club 9200, the first Ugandan and second African to be nominated to Rotary International, a body responsible for the administration, policy formulation, and financial control of Rotary clubs worldwide. As a Ugandan, I am humbled and very proud for this outstanding accomplishment. In his one-year term as Rotary's 108th president, which was to begin on 1st July 2018, the late Rotarian Sam Frobisher Owori had plans of building membership worldwide and increasing visibility and understanding of Rotary. Unfortunately, he has not lived to accomplish his dream. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Rotarian Sam Frobisher Owori had acknowledged that indeed Rotary had become a way of life for him. He was a very resourceful person, down to earth, and dedicated to serving communities. This is evidenced by the fact that he played an instrumental role in growing a number of clubs in Uganda from 9 to 89 over the course of 29 years. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I acknowledge this involvement in two of the many successful Rotary projects. He mobilized support for a young Kalamajongo girl whose face had been chewed up by a hyena and was left alone in a searched hut of her nomadic parents. Following the appeal, the Australian Rotarians collected Margaret Rose Iluko from Kampala and took her to Newcastle, Australia, where she underwent several complicated surgeries for several years, such that her face can be constructed. Margaret Rose not only survived, but she later on become a registered nurse at the same hospital where she had been treated. The second project was that which was foresaw successful open heart surgeries for 3 children, that is to say Grace Angwalu, John Engole, and Robin Nakawe from Kampala. I applaud the late Sam Frobisha Owori for being so passionate about caring for the needy and helpless people. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Sam Frobisha Owori exhibited a life of a true Rotarian, which involved truth, fairness, goodwill, and better friendship and public beneficial engagements. The current government acts in a total dissonance to these values. For example, during election moments, the president makes a lot of pledges to the locals. Immediately he gets elevated to the position, he forgets implementing the pledges. Again, on the issue of fairness, government has acquired lots of vast land and failed to utilize it accordingly. A case in point is the land which belonged to Shimon Primary School. It's hanging in the air. The children were relocated to a faraway distance, and the silent investor who purchased the land has failed to develop it. Right Honorable Speaker, I applaud the government for engaging in various peace missions. As a country, we have done extremely well in advancing goodwill and regional friendship. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of public benefits, very many leaders who are at the helm of affairs holding high government positions and controlling votes but fail to ensure effective service delivery due to corruption, inefficiency of incompetencies. This has happened in so many sectors. For instance, in the infrastructural sector, where government allocates a lot of resources to the sector, but our roads continue to be poorly constructed. Most often times funds are swindled. As a result, our roads have increasingly become very risky and dangerous to most road users, especially pedestrians. A recent survey conducted by the Uganda Road Fund attests to this. Right Honorable Speaker, like I have been alluding to my previous tribute statements, this government prefers to appreciate outstanding individuals like the late Rotarian Sam Frobisha Owori when they are dead with state funerals. It is unfortunate that the government was not able to appreciate the late while still alive. To the contrary, he was received a regional award for a polio-free award, an order to merit from President Omar Bongo of the Republic of Gabon for dedicated service to the African Development Bank. Right Honorable Speaker, my humble prayer, therefore, is that government fully supports the Sam Frobisha Owori Foundation in memory of his outstanding contributions to the Rotary International. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Amen. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Second seconder from the Independent.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members of this august House, I take the opportunity to come here and pay tribute to the late Sam Owori. And this is being done on behalf of the independents in Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, members of this august House, Madam Nora and family, the Rotary fraternity, our country, and indeed the world at large is at the loss of this great man. Mr. Sam Owori was incredibly a special man, and it is so unfortunate that he died being installed as the 108th Rotary International President, and that his dedicated service will be missed. Sam's nomination and election was testimony and recognition of his character, will, and desire to serve humanity. Indeed, his election was confirmation of a rose that grew out of concrete. His works in the banking, health, education, etc. helped touch and positively change the lives of people. Children, women who have benefited from the healthcare programs sponsored by Rotary in schools and hospitals all give testimony to the late Sam Owori. He has indeed showed all of us that through good and clear-headed leadership, things can be done, and we have a world suitable for all of us. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Sam's incredible passion to make a difference should be a changing lesson for all of us. It is a lesson that all of us who have got an opportunity to serve should indeed serve, and serve selflessly. Personally, I did not get the opportunity to meet this great man, but under his clear leadership, I have felt the works of the organization and organizations that he served, plus other jobs he has been doing, not through the organization, but he himself. I really now feel motivated a lot to join Rotary International. Right Honorable Speaker, even in mourning, we are comforted that this afternoon we celebrate the life of an illustrious, hardworking, immensely charitable, but also consummate intellectual of the late Rotarian Sam Owori. He will be greatly missed, but we pray that God, Almighty Father, will grant his soul peaceful repose. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The motion that I now propose for your debate is a tribute motion that Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the bereaved family, relatives, friends, Rotarians, and the people of Uganda at large for the tragic loss of a distinguished son of this country. And two, Parliament takes cognizance of the dedicated service and contribution that Sam F Owori has in the course of his illustrious life rendered to the people of Uganda. And third, and finally, that this Parliament collectively prays to the Almighty God to sustain the bereaved and grant our departed colleague and friend Sam Owori eternal peace. That is the motion that I now propose for your debate. And honorable members, this debate will have a new set of rules. We'll be applying the four-way tests. In your articulation of the attributes and tributes you're going to make to the departed, are you saying the truth? Are you being fair to all concerned? Will what you are saying build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? If your word and tribute will not conform to this, please don't rise. That is order from the chair. We will apply the four-way test, and I'll start with the General Katumba Wamala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As a Rotarian, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and thank government for the opportunity offered to the Rotary family to pay tribute to the late Rotary International President-elect Sam Owori. Life is really a mystery. We had expected that the late Sam would be here at one point in time to brief the House about Uganda's achievement on having him ascending to the highest position of this prestigious international body, Rotary. Hundreds of Rotarians were preparing to descend on Toronto to showcase Uganda on his installation day. As you have already heard, he would have been the 108th president and the second person from the African continent and the first one from Uganda. We got so close, and yet we are so far as a nation. Instead of that, we are here now paying tribute to him. Surely, God's ways are not our ways. Like the late Mother Teresa, Sam, as most of us Rotarians knew him, with his small stature, exuded his leadership through influence and not through directives. His influence reached far and wide. He influenced many of us. We are looking towards him as a role model in Rotary. He added a lot of value to Rotary, and he highly believed in those he led. He had convinced the whole world that Uganda was ripe for the presidency of the World International Body and was prepared to host our flag high. Sam, as a leader, has built trust among the Rotary family, and this was a very strong foundation to his climb to the topmost position in Rotary. He was a person of strong character, and that's why he earned the trust of the Rotary family. As General Swaskov once pointed out, leadership is a potent combination of strategy and character. But if you must be without one, be without strategy, but have character. Sam had modeled a high character with unquestionable integrity, and that had defined him as a Ugandan of a special class. He was a just, fair, selfless, industrious, honest, and a very, very reliable person. There's a saying that the only thing that walks back from the tomb with the mourners and refuses to be buried is the character of a man. Fellow Ugandans, Rotarians, as we celebrate Sam's life and contribution to this country and Rotary, and as we take him to his final resting place, let's walk back with the character of Sam. Let us emulate Sam and drive Rotary to the levels of his dream. Let each one of us be challenged to see Sam's dream of increasing Rotary membership through recruitment of more women, youth, and community members come true. He was of the view that there are many places which need Rotary and numerous potential members who have never been invited. The problem is that Rotarians who got in, they closed the doors. Honorable Speaker, parliamentarians are potential Rotarians. The gap left by some could be filled by 10 or more members of parliament, so that together we can improve people's lives by serving above self. I've been very pleased to hear one of the dean already having been convinced to join Rotary, and I'll invite you to the Rotary Club of Kampala Sese. He also shared his dream of harnessing the Rotary enthusiasm and pride so that every project became the engine of peace and prosperity. Fellow Ugandans, fellow Rotarians, this we can achieve. Honorable Speaker, Rotary is a volunteer organization, but because it attracts trusted and influential people like Sam, Rotarians have been able, through their humble contributions, they have been able to build huge projects like the blood bank, the cancer ward, and numerous health centers. Just like the ants build huge anthills by each carrying a small piece of earth, Rotarians have been able to build those projects through that humble contribution. And I appeal that we can join that international movement. Rotarian Nora, my English teacher, and the family, thank you for standing with Sam all his years of service, both to this nation and to Rotary. The service has provided with a lot of zeal and passion. To many of us, he will remain our hero, a role model whom we shall always emulate. We shall continue to celebrate his life by observing those virtues he held dear. Rotarian Sam, may God rest your soul in eternal peace.
Honorable members, I've been requested that this house should rise at 5 o'clock. So let's use the time properly. I'll not assign any time limitation, but let's respect as many more members should contribute to this debate. Casilo.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you. On behalf of the people of Casilo, on my own behalf, allow me to pay condolence to the late Sam Owori. Right Honorable Speaker, when you asked the mover of the motion and the seconders to join in, I was waiting whether, and I thought when you're going to pick the fourth person, you were going to pick a Muchiga, because we would have passed the test, the four-way test, because when we started with the Prime Minister, it was a Muchiga, the Leader of Opposition, a Muchiga, the Dean of the Independent, so Muchiga. I was waiting for you to see the fourth one, so that fulfill the test. Unique things happen, and they happen for a good people. It was not something that you planned for, but it only happens to the good people. Such coincidences. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I speak here as a friend, but also as an OB. The late went to Teso College Aloet. In May, we did travel together. We did stay in one hotel. He was traveling with his wife as well, together with Honorable Abdul Katuntu here. We had a lot of engagement, discussions, but that was not only the first time I'd traveled with the late. I found in him a very truthful person. It is not a surprise that he joined Rotary. Right Honorable Speaker, this Parliament here just a few days again moved to support the Rotary. We all resolved here to contribute 1 million each towards Rotary in order to sustain the cancer project. So we may not be, for those who are not in the Rotary, be directly engaged, but I think it's because of the nature the Rotarians conduct themselves. That's why this Parliament stood and no one opposed and supported. And we always continue. We have continued supporting. A few days again, we were in supporting Rotary in Kisubi, St. Mary's Kisubi. So I wish Ugandans and us who are in public office would emulate what the Rotarians do. I think this country would be a better place for us to live in. Right Honorable Speakers, Honorable Members, traveling with the late, he asked us, he challenged us together with Honorable Abdul Katuntu. He said, when shall we go back to those days when one little person can leave Tororo and go to Ombachi, go to Ntare, go to Teso College, come to Tororo College? Because those were the days when we pride of our education system. He told us a story where he had challenge with his wife. I think the daughter had wanted to go to Gayasa, but she opted to go No, the mother wanted the daughter to go to Gaza, but then the daughter said, no, I will go to another school. She was so disappointed. But for him, he was very happy because I think he had interest in the school where the girl went. So that was the type of discussion, and those are the challenging things engaged us on. And I wish and I pray that we revive our education system and let us encourage Ugandans to know their country. This business of us relying, you go to UPE school, USE school in Casilo, you go to Soroti University, you go and work in Serre district, and you marry from Casilo, you die in Casilo. I think this is a very bad thing. It is something that I think, if it was not because of that nature, we would not be having Ndugu here. We have just heard from him how when he met him through Nusu, because Nusu brought up everybody across. He went to Mwiri all the way from Kabale. So I think it's something that I picked, and I think and I pray that this country is also that. Right, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people I represent, we want to say, may the good Lord rest his soul in eternal peace.
Shema. Is that Shema?
Yes.
You don't know your county?
Mr. Speaker, you announced it in a more sophisticated manner. I didn't get it. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you very much indeed for giving me an opportunity to pay tribute to my friend. Sam was versatile, and you could speak about him in so many dimensions of his life. But I just want to confine myself only on two where I worked with him intimately, and this is the financial sector. Colleagues, you might need to be reminded that in 1979, a lot of Ugandans who had been refugees returned after liberation, and the country had gone under massive destruction, including destructions of building, and Uganda Commercial Bank was particularly singled out. Some, together with two more guys whom I know too well, because we used to call them a trinity. This was Paul Erongot and Sir Richard Keijuka. Yeah, we commonly, in a way, referred to him as Sir Richard Keijuka. These three people, Ugandans will always remember them. Single-handedly, they rehabilitated and refurbished Uganda Commercial Bank, and indeed the financial sector began functioning sooner than anybody expected, thanks to some. Single-handedly, hard-working, this man was remarkable. All the books were destroyed, reconstituting a bank when all documents have been destroyed. He was a director, together with Arongot, to reconstitute the bank books when literally every document has been looted, has been destroyed, sometimes willfully, others by a result of war. We now have financial sector functioning, but we should remember those who played a key role in restoring them. We shall miss some. Second, I worked with some very closely in the financial sector as well, but some became executive director for African Development Bank. Colleagues, you can see things happening, but sometimes you want to know who were the brains behind it. African Development Bank at the time, they were focusing on stabilization programs. Stabilization programs is basically controlling inflation and having financial stability. They were paying absolutely no attention to matters which help African economic transformation, that is infrastructure. Some, as executive director, not only for Uganda, because he represented more than 7 countries on the board of African Development Bank. If Kabairuka was here, he would tell you, because as a president, to get your programs running, you need an executive director who supports you. You need an executive director who inspires you. Sam was an inspiration, Mr. Speaker, in transforming African Development Bank to move away from stabilization program to structural infrastructure development support. That's why, as we are talking right now, we have African Development Bank loans in water, in electricity, in the roads. Those who changed the policy of African Development Bank, Sam was one of them. That's at continental level. This is true. I could talk about Sam because as a found member together with Leo Chibirango, this corporate governance, which is an institution for consolidating governance in corporate institutions, the brain behind it is Sam. And if Leo Chibirango was in this house, he would tell you how these two guys have made a difference in the governance of this country. Remarkable. We are missing, we are losing. Oh, Sam. And this, you are talking about, Mr. Speaker, we must thank you very much for guiding this house because, well, the four-way test is a very good test. If you had not cautioned, I tell you, we had already mentioned about land reform and conflict and grabbing, and Sam has died at 75. If you had not cautioned, we would even debate age limit on the funeral, I can tell you. No, this is someone, this is someone, I call him versatile, but a man was gifted with such a large heart. And as you can see across board, there are no side or sectarian politics when it comes to Sam's contribution. He simply was such a unifying force. The country has missed, the country has lost. We shall remember him forever for the contribution he made to humanity. Thank you very much.
Buraya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to speak about, to support the motion to pay tribute to Rotarian Sam Frobisher Owori, the Rotary President-elect for 2018-2019. I met Sam Owori when I was a practicing journalist in the late 1990s when he worked as a banker. He was a man of distinguished character. In very big office, but he would talk to you as if you are equals. You would come with a lot of humility to talk to him because of his office, but he would speak to you as if you are equals. But I've got to know Sam more when I became a Rotarian. In the world of Rotary, I've met Sam so many times, and I considered him a father to many Rotarians who are here today. Mr. Speaker, while in Atlanta last month, there were so many people who spoke at the Rotary International Convention. But when Sam Owori stood up to give his acceptance speech, I just couldn't believe that the world loved Sam, the world of Rotary. Out of the many people who spoke for the 4 days who were in Atlanta, Sam Owori got the loudest applause, a standing ovation, ululations for over 5 minutes after his acceptance speech. I recorded it on my phone because I'd never seen him speak at such a big convention. And I said, oh, this man speaks so well, I need to do a recording, which I've already handed to our editor of the Hansard, and I thought they would play it just before we came to this house, but I think the technicians didn't prepare it on time. They did play it. Oh, thank God, I didn't know it had been played. His dream of growing Rotary, honorable members, growing especially membership and more clubs. Like you have heard, he was district governor when we had 13 countries. Right now, we have only 2 countries in this district, 9211. He grew many other districts, and in 2013, Uganda and Tanzania formed their own district, carving it off one district which took Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. And so we must grow Rotary membership. And I take this pleasure, honorable members, to call upon you to embrace Rotary. There are so many various clubs in your areas where you come from, and even here in Kampala. And I call upon you to join the mighty club, Rotary Club of Makindye, where I belong. And Honorable Aja, please, our seats today at 6 o'clock. Before Honorable General Katumba Amala takes you to his, which I don't know when it will sit. Ours is today at 6 o'clock at Kampala Club, Shanghai Restaurant. I have heard your words about Sam Owori. And Sam Owori, I don't want to compare him with Jesus, but he was just close to a person of Jesus. And I want to end with a Bible verse. Those who have the Bibles on their iPad can read Acts chapter 20, verse 35. In everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak, remembering the words of the Lord Jesus himself, that it is more blessed to give than to receive. Honorable members, it is more blessed to give. I know we give, but in Rotary, you do not give the people around you, but you give to the world. You serve humanity. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mbale Municipality.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand on behalf of the people of Mbale, who include Rotarians, to convey our sincere condolences to the family of late Sam Owori, relatives, friends, the people of Uganda, and Rotary International in general. We have lost a great man who was ready to serve above self, a great man who is going to be remembered by the people of Uganda, a man who served in different sectors, the man who helped the women, the children, and built a blood bank. Now I can feel in the hearts of Robina, of Grace, and that Kalamajong girl was saved by Sam Owori. This is a man who built his name. The name he protected. And having served in different posts, high posts, he never found a position in which he indulged himself in stealing or cheating. This is a man who fought to protect his name. This is a man who was recognized by the whole of Africa, the whole world. His name alone meant a lot to Uganda. And imagine if he had taken up this position as governor of the whole world. How many tourists would Uganda receive just being a governor of Rotary International alone? And this is the name we always look forward to, a person who's going to leave a legacy. To remember, a legacy for people to see what one has done. We have lost a great man, and may the Almighty God give him a peaceful rest. Thank you.
Tororo District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I speak as a Member of Parliament from Tororo District, where the late Sam hails from. He comes from Kidera in Rubongi Sub-County, Tororo. I also speak as not just a Rotarian, but a past president of a Rotary Club. My condolences, Right Honorable Speaker, to the family, to the people of Tororo, and to the whole world, because Sam did not only belong to Uganda, but he served he made a contribution to the lives of so many people around the world through Rotary. As you all heard, he joined Rotary way back in 1978, when some of us were just toddlers. And at that time, of course, I have now grown. At that time, Right Honorable Speaker, Idi Amin, His Excellency Idi Amin, may his soul rest in peace, was actually the president of this country. And I remember a story which the late Sam Owori told us, that at the time when they were meeting, there were spies being sent to their Rotary meetings. And oftentimes, government was suspicious of activities of Rotarians. Actually, in one of the meetings, after the Rotary meeting, one of their members was picked and he was never seen. And many Rotary clubs closed, but Sam and his club did not close. And he did not close partially because of him. He insisted that we must continue meeting until such a time when we totally cannot. And we need to applaud him for that. Right Honorable Speaker, Sam has held various positions at the African Development Bank here in country. And in these positions that he has held, he retired with very clean hands. You cannot point a finger of any form of corruption at him. This is the man that is lying before us here, Right Honorable Speaker. He was a professional banker. He was the first past district governor of Rotary 9200. And he has held other positions, the Rotary International Representative to the UN Environment Program, Rotary International Representative to the UN Habitat, and Rotary had become a way of life for him. It is very unfortunate that at a time when we were all looking forward to his leadership, the Lord, I don't know whether it's the Lord, because Satan also takes people. Right Honorable Speaker, before Sam went to Texas, he was actually with the National Medical Stores Board, trying to teach them about corporate governance. And he took time to even talk about Rotary and what he hoped to do when he becomes president. How many of us know that the polio vaccine that is provided worldwide, free of charge, is because of Rotarians' contributions? And we are very close to eliminating polio. We are left with just about 2-3 countries. And Sam was looking forward to this during his term, to completely eradicate or free the world from polio. Unfortunately, this has not been possible. One of the things he said is that Rotary has become a way of life for me, with intrinsic values and core belief in mutual responsibility and concern for one another as a cornerstone. He also said, I feel immense satisfaction knowing that through Rotary, I've helped someone to live a better life. He served not only Rotarians in Uganda, not only the less privileged in Uganda, but beyond, as RI Director and the various positions that he held. He was a very outstanding and hardworking person, very enthusiastic about Rotary and service to humanity, that his enthusiasm amongst Rotary circles turned into what the Rotarians were calling the Owori madness. And when they said this always, he would smile. And he said, I would be glad if this madness caught each one of us. Honorable colleagues, the late Sam Owori described himself as an incorrigible optimist who chose to see the best side of everything, everyone, and the bright side of any situation. We have had challenges in this country. We have had challenges in our own district, Tororo, where he came from. But Sam steered clear of any controversial matter. He never engaged in anything controversial. Neither, even if you moved and tried to have a discussion with him on any controversial matter, he would not answer you. Right Honorable Speaker, at the last convention in Atlanta, I want to quote exactly what he said. The world is upside down. Greed has gone through the roof, where honest people are called fools, and the crooks are called smart. Patience is considered obsolete and a weakness, and the young people are in a hurry to get rich by hook or crook. Leaders are insensitive to positive criticism. The virtues of freedom and globalization are twisted to undermine our cherished values. These were some of the words that Sam said in Atlanta, and he has left us with these words. I recall, Right Honorable Speaker, early this year, in February, specifically when the Rotary International President visited this country. He commissioned the blood bank at Mengo, constructed by Rotarians. And we had so many jokes. And I remember while making remarks, I said I was a proud member of parliament to have a Rotary International president as my voter. And Sam smiled, but unfortunately, he has not lived to take up that position. It's very unfortunate. Sam loved his family. He loved his wife, Nora. I recall when the wife, Nora, had cancer, Sam stood by her side and did everything that he could. And Nora is back to her feet. We need to thank him for that. Right Honorable Speaker, we have lost a great person as a community in Tororo, as Ugandans, and the entire Rotary world. I don't know how many more years we'll have to wait to have a Ugandan get to that position. Very unfortunate. Honorable Katuntu says nobody qualifies. But in 100 years, 50 years from now, we may have a Ugandan take up that position. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Bulisa.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the people of Bulisa, Bugunga, I represent in Parliament, and the Mother Kingdom of Bunyoro, I would like to convey condolences, but also more so on behalf of the Rotary Club, Kampala South Rotary Club, where I'm on leave. I'm so touched that we are losing such leaders of international record, the president-elect of Rotary International, a senior banker, a person who has really been guiding even some of us when we were young in Rotary, before we became busy with the politics. We did a lot in immunization. as the minister has rightly put, the effort of funding the vaccines reminds us, and for me now, I feel indebted when we are losing people of such category as President-elect Sam Owori. Actually, his death has reminded me of another very active Rotarian, Dr. Kara Beja, who used to also help us a lot in taking vaccines. And I'm only feeling indebted and requesting that how I wish we as leaders encourage our children to join the Rotary movement through the Interact, the Rotaract, and Rotarian. Because as the speaker did put it at the beginning, many times apart from my parenting, I believe that whatever good I do is because of the four-way test. It's because of Rotary always urging us to have service above self. That you have to sacrifice and stand for the truth. You have to be fair and do goodwill and make sure that whatever you do is beneficial to all concerned. When you hear the efforts the Rotary movement does, so many people have a pathetic fallacy of thinking it's about having a lot of money. It's not about having a lot of money, it's about the heart. Being charitable, being philanthropic is not about having a lot of money. So the Rotarian out there, we salute you for the work you're doing, and we pray that we shall get people who will fit in his shoes of that international level. We pray that the Rotary movement will continue doing a lot of work. I'm happy that in the early years, when vaccination was being done, even Kampala City Authority did name the Lugogo bypass as a Rotary road. So that kind of appreciation gives courage that Rotary movement is still alive. I want to continue praying that even for us in our home areas, I think part of my problem in Bulisa, remote peripheral Bulisa, I have nowhere to fellowship. But I want to promise Rotary Club of Kampala South, I need to start coming back to fellowship, but also with some members as guests, so that we recruit more members in the Rotary movement. May the soul of President-elect Sam Owori rest in peace. I thank you.
Samia Bugwe North.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I join my colleagues in paying tribute and extending my condolence to the family of the great son of this nation. Right Honorable Speaker, my mother is from a clan called Koyo clan in Tororo, and that is the same clan where the fallen son of this nation belongs. He's therefore my uncle. Right Honorable Speaker, we have lost a great man, and on behalf of the people of Samia Bugwe North, we have lost an uncle that has left a great mark in the service of this country and the world over. Right Honorable Speaker, when you happen to go to Tororo, where our fallen hero comes from, he is earmarked to have helped in a number of projects, including churches. The local people in Tororo, in Bukedi generally, are really going to miss my Uncle Sam. He always offered wholeheartedly. The woman MP for Tororo has pointed out his offers in the health sector. But even religiously, he gave with one heart. You can imagine someone from Tororo
giving to churches in Busia. It's quite remarkable. Right Honorable Speaker, the service of late Owori would actually point to someone who has interest in vying for a political position. But he lived a clear life, stayed out of controversy, never uttered political statements. You are aware of the fights in Tororo district over the division of Tororo, but my late uncle stayed clear. He never involved himself in these fights. We want to bid him farewell and really pray that God grants him a peaceful rest. We believe that we are supposed to have a peaceful rest really. After this kind of service, he really deserves it. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Matheniko.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the motion that this House pays tribute to Senior Rotarian Sam F Owori. On behalf of the people of Matheniko County, in the Moroto district, whom I'm privileged to represent in this august House, I would like to send our condolences to the family, relatives, friends, and in-laws of the late Sam Owori, the Adola community, and all the people of the Greater Bukedi. And of course, not forgetting the Rotary fraternity in Uganda and world over. The death of Rotarian Sam Owori is indeed a great loss to the people of Uganda. We know Rotarian Sam was a senior Rotarian who was passionate about Rotary on account of the socio-economic importance and significance of Rotary in the service of humanity. We know that Rotary is all about charity. Rotary is about dedication. Rotary is about service above self. And it only takes a person with a huge heart to take a decision to join Rotary and be able to sustain the membership for so many years, the way Sam has done it. In his service as a senior Rotarian, Sam had his attributes which he used to mentor the Rotarians, the Rotaractors and Interactors in Uganda, in Africa, and world over. The death of Sam has occurred at the time when he was beginning to climb on top of the world ladder in as far as Rotary is concerned. He was going to represent Uganda as a president of Rotary International. And we know in that position he was going to put Uganda in a good position for the world to see what Uganda can produce in terms of abilities, in terms of dedicated leaders, in terms of people who always have the urge to offer the little they have, to sustain the injustices that occur among the people of the world who are less disadvantaged. I knew Rotarian Sam late last year when a group of friends of mine encouraged me to join Rotary Club of Muyenga. Is when I first interacted with Rotarian Sam. At that time, he was a president's nominee. And during the interaction, he encouraged me to join Rotary. And even said, John, I want you to be the first Karamojongo Rotarian. It's very unfortunate that Sam has departed before he sees me inducted into Rotary. He had even promised to roll out Rotary to Karamoja sub-region. He had even assigned 3 experienced Rotarians to go with me and be able to initiate the idea of Rotary in the Karamoja sub-region. Rotarian Sam has died a great man. He had a lot of dreams for Uganda. He had a lot of dreams for Africa. And he had a lot of dreams for the world. He wanted to lift the number of Rotarians in Africa to well over 1 million. And this, he says, he has the energy, he has the passion to do that and ensure that he achieves whatever he has put before him. He has also left many achievements in Uganda, encouraging and supporting the strengthening of Uganda Heart Institute, the Uganda Cancer Institute, the blood bank. And these are areas which are not very simple to handle. But with Sam, he managed by ensuring that he collected a team of Rotarians to be able to support, achieve these dreams. Rotarian Sam was indeed a mentor. He could mentor Rotarians socially, spiritually, morally, and even economically, because he wanted to see everybody happy as he was. And he left a message to every Rotarian on the importance of following the values which shape the engagements of every service in whatever everybody was doing. He noticed that the values in our country were already upside down, and therefore there was a need to put these values right if we are to serve humanity better. He was a very dedicated person, and I call all the leaders in their various capacities to emulate what Honorable Sam did, and the legacy that he has left behind should not be lost. And this is the legacy that every leader needs to put before him or before her, so that we serve this country better. Uganda has lost an exceptional man of good character. It is indeed painful. I know this is a sad moment for both the family members and the entire country. And I believe that we shall find strength in prayer to God to support us in this trying moment. We pray that the Lord indeed rest the soul of Rotarian Sam in eternal peace.
Zombo District.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to pay tribute to the late Sam. I met Sam some years ago, and when I had joined Rotary, I thought I would meet him and have a chat with him to induct me about the life in Rotary. Because when I joined, I found so many abbreviations in Rotary: PE, PAG, IPP, ADC, many things. So I thought I would have a chat with him as one of the icons of the Rotary Club. Of course, with many other names which come when you talk about Rotary. But it has not been possible. But I know, like many members have said, he has been a committed person, a passionate person about Rotary and about helping the people. And as far as I also know, he has been a champion of maternal and child health and Go Green, something he has really held dear. And so whenever we meet in our Rotary Club, I'm also a Rotarian, whenever we meet in our Rotary Club and we are contributing for immunization and many other activities, I always remembered him. Also, as a Rotarian, I knew Sam had time for others. If you wanted to meet him, if you wanted to chat with him, he would give you that time, and he would just be a simple person to relate with. But even before that, I had met him earlier on as I was working as a volunteer in some organization. A friend of mine introduced me to him, and he said, "Why don't you bring your friend to Rotary?" But that time I was more active in the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda. And then I worked with him for a month because I volunteered in Institute of Corporate Governance, and that was the time he was also coming to sit in the office as the Chief Executive Officer. Of course, before that, he was the Vice President of ICGU, but to leave that position of a Vice President and to come and sit as a CEO in the Institute of Corporate Governance, I thought that was really a humble heart and a heart of sacrifice. Because comparing that position of a Vice President with all the status, with all the importance it carries, for somebody to leave that position and come and sit as a CEO, I thought that was very humbling. And it was a time, like I said, I was also trying to do a volunteer service in Corporate Governance Institute. I felt short, but just to praise his character of humility and simplicity. But I just lived there a short while because I couldn't match the sacrifice he gave to the Institute. I also know Sam as a very simple person, very approachable, because I remember the many times I met him, and the very first time I met him, when I was introduced to him, he said, "This is my sister." And that alone already brought me close to him. And he would always smile. Wherever you met him, either in the corridors or if you went to his office, he would always smile. And he made me think that even the difficult positions, even the difficult jobs can be made easy. No wonder he has lived this age when we know that the life expectancy in Uganda is 63, and he has lived beyond that. And I want to conclude in one of the instances that possibly it is the smile which gave him all the more years beyond the life expectancy. Because I'm told when you smile, and when you smile a lot, you keep young and your lifespan increases. That's what I'm told. But some cultures and some people, and now I also think I should tell us, especially politicians, who think you have to be annoyed all the time and talk with all the force and all the energy in order to be heard. Sam was different. Sam was calm, but effective. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
West Budama South. Then I come to Mugwe.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise to support the motion paying tribute to gallant Ugandan and the gallant son of the Jaluo from Tororo. To begin with, Sam lived a life that was above his tribe. He was not against tribalism, but he never put that at the forefront. I would want to agree with the honorable member from Zombo. I don't remember talking to Uncle Sam without seeing his smile. Whether you're in a funeral, whether you are in a church, Uncle Sam, you influenced many, and that's why you were a leader at international level. First Ugandan, you've made a statement for Rotary International in Uganda and in Africa that simplicity is the way to go, that humility is not a weakness, but a strength. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Rotarian Sam Owori comes from my constituency. I know him personally with his family. I have traveled with him. When he was in Chicago, I happened to have met him a week before he went to Chicago. Both of us were there. And I can tell you that there were so many other willing Japs who were planning to go and stand behind him and jubilate as he takes office. We've lost our own. We've lost a man who lived beyond. He was larger than his life. He was so accommodative, and yet he was available for every cause that would change the life of humanity. We've had, Right Honorable Speaker, is going to be buried. And Uncle Sam, I wish you could hear me. You're going to be buried at a time that we needed peacemakers like you in Tororo. We needed people who smile rather than us who frown to make peace in Tororo. Tororo now, where tribalism is thriving, it would only be fair that you would have advised us to do what is fair, to give the four ways test in resolving the matter of Tororo. Right Honorable Speaker, the Japadolas have had their sons and daughters, but I am not aware of one born before me and before some. I cannot even say that there will be one that will match Uncle Sam Owori to the international level, where it is about service that takes you to that extent. His leadership skills is something that we shall have to reflect. I have been in touch with the cultural institution, and they want to use this time to really have time to reflect on the life of Sam Owori, maybe for the next 30 days after his burial. We are at loss. Ugandans have lost. He was going to be our flag bearer at that international level. We do not know how many people would have come here, but I know for sure, and Aunt Nora, you were with me, the last trip we had together, we traveled together, was from Nairobi, coming back here. The plans to help the eye hospital, the twinning, he had a meeting in India, how he wanted to help us have better health services. And no wonder. You died from a disease I don't know. I wish it was more complicated. We would have been consoled. Death has been in bad conspiracy to take your life. If I could meet death today, we would urge you Why take some at a time when it's just about to carry the flag of Ugandans and of Africa higher? You're right, Honorable Speaker. This death, we don't want to say the Japadola way, but you can't resist the temptation to speak the Japadola way if you are a Japadola. Mostly would ask, is that what the Prime Minister prescribed as the cause of death? He was walking. He went to his village. He went to one of the best health facilities. In the leg. Why not in the stomach? Why not in the brain? There are people who have survived beyond the brain tumor, beyond the intestines. The people, he has helped people survive from other serious illnesses. What a conspiracy, death, that you had to take away Sam Owori at a time that we're all looking forward to benefit from his international leadership. In Tororo, he left for us, and Honorable Apollo Yeri, what he wanted was to revive, and the Honorable Minister, the woman MP, to revive the Rotary Club of Tororo. Every time I met him, with his wife right there, he would say, do something about this. Go and mobilize people to join the Rotary. You've mobilized us enough today. This date should be able to do more mobilization in Tororo to see that more people join the Rotary. Your death has come and brought mobilization in Parliament of Uganda that will see more members of Parliament become Rotarians. In our own way, we feel we are doing good. But it was beyond doing good. You look at Uncle Sam Owori, you will see he was a Christian man. A man rich with a lot of virtues and values in him. How we're going to miss you, how the Japadolas will miss you, how Ugandans and the Rotarians internationally will miss you. We can't say the song that is sung in the Anglican Church. I wish we should not sing that. That Amaze Mulimugwe. There's no work that you've finished in our eyes. We believe you were just beginning. You were just going to do the work. May your soul be accorded the best place that is given to people who are humble, who are Christians, and who have done good.
Bugweri.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for having given me this opportunity to pay tribute to a great achiever, a giant, and a celebrated banker. Right Honorable Speaker, 2 months ago, like the Honorable Cooper was submitting, we traveled with the late Sam Owori from Miami, Florida, back home. He was in company of his dear wife. During those 2 days of travel, we talked about so many things, but the only two I would like to share with you, a serious one and a very unserious one. I'll start with the serious one. He was so much concerned about what Uganda is today. What sort of young people are we breeding in this country? And he gave an example of Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, the Right Honorable Prime Minister. And he said, leaders like a Dr. Rugunda, I'm just quoting him, are what they are because the education system allowed them to interact with the whole world. That's why he went to Muiri, and he never looks at himself as a person from Chigezi. He gave an example of the late Atekejal who went to Ntare School. He gave an example to the former Army commander, General Ronda, who went to some school in Kitgum. And the example Novo Okupa was giving is that today we have all our kids growing up in their little villages. They go to schools there. They don't interact with other tribes, even other religions. So we have inward-looking young people. And he was like, the Rotary movement gives you an opportunity to interact. I think the Rotary movement, you've lost one of your biggest recruits. Because 5 minutes after we had met, he started talking about Rotary before we could get into any other business. The unserious one was when he was in Uganda Commercial Bank. He did tell us of a very interesting story. During Idi Amin's time, he heard on radio that he had been appointed Secretary Bank of Uganda. The following day, he went to the office and bought, I think it was called Uganda Gas, that's what he told us. And there was a story, a small story within, I think, the 3rd or 4th page. So he kept that newspaper for 2 days. The 3rd day, he was worried. If he didn't take up the office, maybe General Idi Amin would do other things. So he picked his newspaper and he walked to Bank of Uganda and he said, I've read this, I was appointed banker secretary. And the governor said, I also heard it on radio. But, so what do we do? He said, but that is the office of the banker secretary. He walked in, he walked back, after that he walked back to UCB, picked his belongings and occupied the office. That was his appointment letter. This story, fun as it was, he told us when we were having dinner, meal, Honorable Kupa and his dear wife. But listening to colleagues, I think there is a life after our professional career. I just look at all his colleagues up there in the distinguished strangers gallery. These are people who have served this country for many years, but they are taking off time to give back to the community. That's the biggest lesson we do get through the Rotary movement, through even like Dr. Undadin talked about the Institute of Good Governance, where he was the Chief Executive Officer. Corporate Governance, where he was the Chief Executive Officer. After this distinguished career as a banker, he said, where do the next generation, how do they tap my wealth of experience? So he forms this NGO together with the other colleagues, and they continue imparting knowledge to the young people. This is what we are losing as a country. And really from the bottom of my heart, I can see Uganda has lost a patriot. This is the life which Uganda should be living. That when eventually God calls you, people are not at loss of words to talk about you. There are some people, sometimes, when they are called you, it's okay, what will I say? Oh, I don't know whether I'm still within the 4 ways test. but the point is, as Ugandans, we should emulate people like the late Sam Owori. Really, he's been a giant. The late Sam Owori, have a good race, you had a good fight. May the Lord bless you. We meet, what do they say again? Is that song which Christians sing? That till we meet again, I think. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Samia Bugwe, South.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I rise to second the motion to pay tribute to the late Sam Owori, and I want to extend the condolences from my family and my constituency, Samia Bugwe County South, to the people of Tororo, the people of Bukedi, Uganda, and the world at large. Mr. Speaker, I will speak about my personal interaction with the late Sam. And that was in March 2016, just immediately after elections. During the time when we had been in canvassing for votes, I came across a young girl called Nawire Annette in my constituency who had been burnt by hot water. And the mother had left it crawling near the fireplace. And it was a very bad scenario because the kid, while in the process of recovery, its limbs did not get back to normal. And I was wondering, probably after elections, what contribution I would have to the family and especially to this young girl. So while I was still pondering how to proceed after elections, there's a friend of mine who gave me the contacts of the late Sam. And I anticipated it was a very big and costly treatment. Mr. Speaker, while I spoke to someone on the phone, he only gave me a phone number of a doctor in Kosu. And he only said, you just introduced that you have got this telephone from Sam Owori, the Rotarian, and then they will definitely make an appointment. And we were able to support this girl. They operated. She recovered her limbs, and right now she's going in school now. And that is the type of a person that we have had. A person who had the passion for free support to people that who even doesn't know. And that's how I also really started wondering what type of Mukedi is this. I started struggling how to get to see him. It was very difficult to get at that time. He was so busy. Until in Feb this year, 2017, and I think at the process of his election to the high office was ongoing, that I called him, and when I introduced myself again, he recalled, and he asked me to join him. He was going to have dinner at Silver Springs in Bugolobi. And I went there. We had a very big chat. Bigger chat. You see somebody who had built a bigger vision for the country, vision for the region. And that day, he made some kind of fun on me that you are soon going to eat from the table of men. I didn't know what he was meaning. The way I see you, you also have the love for the people, and you should be sitting on the table of men. I said, what do you mean? We are seated here as men. I think this is a table of men. So he said, no, you should be joining Rotary. So we discussed the whole discussion. That the appreciation I wanted to make with him was completely engulfed by the discussion of Rotary. Until I told him, he asked me where you live. I told him I live around Muyenga. He said, no, you can join from anywhere you feel it's convenient for you. And from that time, I've been attending the Rotary Club of Muyenga Breeze. This has been my 4th session. I'm still being inducted. And I was preparing to report to him that, Muzei, now, I think I'm a Rotarian and I'm fulfilling your dream, until we got bad news. But I think we are going to serve his dream as people that he really anticipated to recruit. I know as Bukedi, he had a bigger vision. He has been serving Uganda, he would serve the world, but he was also thinking of improving on the eye clinic, which we have an eye center in the Benedictines Hospital in Tororo, but we were thinking of one that would at least provide for some service from Kidera, an area where he comes from. So that we have referrals that would be taken to the Tororo main eye center, which is almost one of the best performing eye centers at private level in Uganda. And this is the person we have lost, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Sam we are talking of has been a peacemaker. I've had a few challenges as a chairman of the Bukedi Parliamentary Forum. And if you listen to the members of Bukedi who spoke, we have issues as Bukedi. We have issues in Tororo, we have issues in Budaka, we have issues of land, conflicts of the districts in Butareja, Budaka. But some had already started making consultations with the elders to see how he could involve the elders to see that the message of the peace and tranquility of Bukedi would really be restored. And he asked me if I would really provide a few elders that I feel would come out and speak even to us leaders and put us to order. Because in his belief, he thought probably it is us leaders who are trying to create a bigger conflict at our level, and then we bring in the lower people and the community, even when there is no conflict. We create a situation, but then we bring the communities to really suffer on our behalf. But this is a person whom I believe would have been listened to, especially if he had even called all of us, because he had a lot of respect and we had a respect for him. We have lost him. I just want to pray that probably as leaders of Bukedi, we need to come back and rethink again on what the vision and the aspirations of our elders is, and we really try to restore order. Not to create situations that come and try to make it look like there's a tribal conflicts within Tororo, within Bukedi, while the truth is it's not there. And because we have lived together as a bigger kind of community, that is being broken up by issues that we believe pertains to our own interests as politicians. I know we have lost some, and I just want to pray that the loving God who has called him at this early time, while we really begin to benefit from his career development in Rotary, will provide for a peaceful rest. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Tororo Municipality.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to pay tribute to the late Sam Owori, the President-elect of Rotary International. We could not believe that the late Sam Owori had died. When the news came, some people were saying maybe nowadays Facebook and so on and so on. So they couldn't really not believe that our statesman had died. He hailed from Tororo. He was born in the chief family. And my father was also one of the chiefs. His father was a Saza chief, my father was a Gombola chief, respectively. And he used to really interrupt, especially, you know, they share the same name with my father. My father is called Sam Ofono, so he used to say, I would say it in Jap, Word Pasamuir. That's how he used to call me. Yeah. Meaning the son of Samuel Ofono. Yeah. This man he was very humble. Was entertaining, had a big heart, and was down to earth. The MP for Zombo said he would smile, but every time he was smiling, actually was inviting friendship. So he had a lot of friends. Personally, I had not joined Rotary, but so many of where he is going to address a Rotarian, I would attend, because I love the way he does his things. It was just 2 weeks. the last 2 weeks. He had already sent engineers from US. They're already in Tororo. They are trying to survey how to give us the clean water. Imagine. So I don't know what will happen to the engineers who had started. They are taking their studies, and as one of the stakeholders, they were consulting me how they can handle this situation. He loved to give. And I think that's why he joined Rotary. And he rose to the highest office. He could share whatever he has with the needy. If you go to the book of Matthew 25, verse 34, 40, you can read that, and that was the man. He was a mentor, and what can we say about Sam Owori? His death is a big loss, and he has brought a real big gap. Actually, as we talk now, I don't know, because Tororo, as we now calling for peace, he would be the real person who could do, because most of people would listen to him, and this would easily solve this problem. But it is God who takes, and it's God who gives. We will surely miss him. May the Almighty God receive his soul in heaven. God bless you all.
Kumi Municipality.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to second motion to pay tribute to the late Sam Owori, and I bring sincere condolences from the people of Kumi Municipality to all the bereaved, more so to my colleagues from Tororo, Honorable Oboth, and Honorable Yeri, my very good friends. We dearly miss the person who has departed. The late, if you looked at the details in this motion, joined the Rotary in 1978. By then I was only 2 years old. That is only one signal to us. If you are really born with a heart of service to the men of the world, you'll always start it very early. Some people try to wait that they want to serve Ugandans when they are rich, or when they get rich one day. I don't think that is the way. The late has showed us the formula. If you have the heart and true heart of giving, you start it early. His death now becomes a reminder to us that we ought to give to the needy. For this is written in the Bible. For those of you who have your Bibles, in the book of Proverbs 19:17, you will always get what is written there. When you give to the needy, God pays back to you in a super way. The late stood by that way of giving. There's power in giving. Most often, we all want to receive, and receive. But when it comes to giving, everybody runs away from that. When you run away from giving, you have run away from blessings. If you want to be blessed, then give. And that is how he rose to the heights that he went. You cannot climb to the top of the world when you are not helping those who are in need. I can assure you, you'll be found where you are. The late gave his services He gave that whatever he had, and that's why he took our flag up high. I don't believe in people who are saying that there's no work. I'm not employed. I don't have this and that. Sincerely, there are so many gaps around the world. There's a lot that we can do. Sometimes we don't need to seek for a job. Just go and help the person who needs help. If you have the health, if you have the energy, do something for your neighbor. That is work. It will employ you. When you do that, you will get the payment. God will give you a blessing. By the way, even for me, I'm a result of giving. Being here in Parliament is because I gave to the people of Kumi. Just my little services. That is what I learned from the late. Let us learn from him. He's the true lecturer of giving. I want to thank you all. And I want to say, on behalf of the people of Kumi, we will dearly miss you. And you know, Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm also a lion. One time I moved from here up to Dar es Salaam by bus. You travel for 28 hours. And besides that, you are not getting paid from anybody. You are pulling money from your pocket. I did it twice, and I saw how tiresome the journey would be. But for the people of the world, because they need our services, let us always learn to give for God and my country. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Dokolo District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the motion, and I just want to highlight three things which has not come out from my colleagues while debating the issue. I'm grateful that Honorable Kamuntu highlighted his professionalism as a banker. But there are three areas which I think our brother with us here would not forgive this house if we did not record it. First of all, you all know that in the past, Ugandans did not believe in the culture of banking. They thought that the safest way of keeping your money is to keep it with you. But as the managing director of Uganda Commercial Bank, this son of Uganda tried his best to make sure that he mobilized Ugandans by using his position to make Uganda a truly banking community. And he took the bank, Uganda Commercial Bank, to the people. That's why Uganda Commercial Bank had several branches, even in your sub-counties, wherever you come from. In Agwata, we had a branch where I come from. And this helped to mobilize farmers, this helped to mobilize cooperators, and this was a culture which was brought to us by this son of Uganda here. And nobody's talking about it, but it has transformed the backbone of the economy of Uganda. The second point I would like to thank our son for is that he realized the gap that we have in the management of our economy. And that gap was the lack of professionalism in the management. So you find that many of the government companies that were all over the place, developed by Uganda Development Corporation, collapsed because of lack of management. And this son of Uganda calculatively used his skill and his training in management to start this Institute of Corporate Governance in order to train our people. And right now, as I speak, there is no corporation in Uganda, whether private or governmental, which does not have corporate governance manual to drive the management of the company and to avoid unnecessary losses and the collapses of the companies as was experienced in the past. And this is attributed to our son, Sam Owori. Now, the last one I would want to remember him for is the role that he played. And this is very unfair, Right Honorable Prime Minister. It should have come out loud and clear. The role he played in the Constitutional Review Commission. This Constitutional Review Commission remains a historical document. And I don't want to use my own words. I would like Sam Owori, whose spirit is alive with us now, to hear his own words as recorded in the minority report which him and Professor Sempe were signed. He said, the Uganda Constitution of 1995 was created in the interest of good governance and controls, including term limits. He further went on to say, Parliament should review Article 269 of the Constitution on Parties Act, Police Act, election laws for purposes of smooth transition of power. Right Honorable Speaker, Sam Owori is no longer with us, but he left us with a very powerful advice. Anybody would say, don't talk about term limits, but he has spoken. And he has no benefit in the term limits, but he has spoken. And I just want to say, may the son of this Uganda always be remembered to have spoken the truth. Even if you are not there, you have left us with your words. May God bless you.
Padiere.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. As I sat here listening to the eulogy by different members, but more importantly, the fact that Sam joined Rotary Club in 1978, and I tried to compute just 1 year to go, it would have been 40 years next year. And I've been asking myself, the Honorable from Kumi said, by the time he was joining, he was just 2 years old. By the time Sam was joining the Rotary Club, 78. And I've been asking myself, how many of us take deliberate action to research about the Rotary Club? So many people in this country have had a lot of suspicion about two clubs, the Rotary International and the Lion Club. There are schools, like school I went to, St. Joseph's College, Laibi, where the Rotary Club and the Lions Club would have full-time structure and leadership. And that kind of promotion would really initiate the young students and the young people of this nation, not only into the clubs, but also into a system of becoming statesmen. I'm sorry for what I'm going to say, but most of us politicians, we do things, anything we do is with the eye focus on the next election. But the Rotarians do everything with the eye focus on the next generation. And that's why they're actually statesmen and the state women for the interests of gender balance and the gender movement that is now taking the whole world. We cannot say only state men, but also state women. Now, the gentleman lying here is a statesman. Right Honorable Speaker, he occupied a position that did not only enthrone him as a president, but also showed, you know, the strength, the capacity of a country called Uganda. I would be very glad if all his colleagues who are here and the representatives who belong to the Rotary International would go back and mute an idea that to respect this gentleman lying here, the country called Uganda should be given an opportunity to actually take the leadership of Rotary International. That would be a very big respect for us, if that were possible. But Right Honorable Speaker, more importantly, the gentleman lying here is a father. And some of us have lost fathers who are even 90 years old, 100 years old. And you may think that if your father is 90 years or 100 years old, you may not feel the pain of losing such a man. You are mistaken. However old your father is, your mom is, once he's gone, the pain is so much that you become still like a child who is 1 year old. And therefore to the sons and daughters who are left behind, you are orphans. But you must take one word from the Bible. That's what I will conclude with. The Bible says, happy are the people who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And the comfort starts with the members of parliament here. All the good words you hear here are not for nothing, because your dad made contribution to this country, to the world. And therefore, take comfort, we are mourning with you. The different people of different calibers seated in the VIP gallery and the strangers gallery are examples that we are mourning with you. And when you go back to live as orphans, as people who have lost their dad, please carry that candle, carry that message, and let that light that is set in your life light everywhere. Never cover it. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Honorable members, can we shorten our remarks now? Time is running out, and I see many of you still want to speak. I'll start from Honorable Karobanga, Ngora, West Budama North, and then I come this side again.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'd like to join my colleagues in seconding the motion of paying tribute to the late Sam Frobisher Owori, who was the president-elect of Rotary International. I'd like to thank government for this initiative of according him state burial. Right Honorable Speaker, a lot has been said about the late according to the deeds, qualities, and above all, his professional career. I happened to know him in 1998 when I was a Rotary actor. Incidentally, when I crossed over 30 years, I didn't join the Rotary movement. But at that time, he used to visit our club. That was Jambogo Rotary Club, and he was an inspirational leader. Yesterday, I joined the Rotarians and his family in welcoming or receiving his body at the airport. The plane was supposed to have landed at 3, but it delayed until 3:30 in the night. The Rotarians braved that time. They were there, they camped at the airport from that afternoon until late, which was actually morning of today. I would like us to really emulate him and the Rotary fraternity for the values they believe in. He was a very humble man, as they've said, always smiling. And as they've said, where there was controversy, you wouldn't see him there. This Sunday, I joined my friend, Honorable Both, and Honorable Apollo Yeri in Tororo. But all corners of Tororo were in shock. And of course, everyone knows what is going on. I would like us to really, or the people of Tororo, to take that his death as a way of making peace. He was someone who loved God. Only yesterday, I was told that he had left, when he was flying out, he had left $1 million for his church. He rose to the ranks, not through any scheme, but through commitment and exercise of excellent professional skills. It is very difficult to get a man of his caliber, as many have said, rising through the ranks from club level to the international, where he was the Rotary International President-elect. Actually, I take him like the Moses of the Bible, who didn't step in the promised land because he was just going to be the president of Rotary International. So I really would want to convey my heartfelt condolences and the sympathy to the family, Mama Nora, sons Stephen and Daniel, and the entire friends for the loss. May God rest some soul in eternal peace.
Ngora District, Ngora County.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support the motion. On behalf of the people of Ngora, I want to send my condolences to the family, to Rotary Club International, to the people of Tororo, and to the people of Uganda. Mr. Speaker, sir, death is an enemy to progress. This man here has done so many things in this country and beyond. The plan to connect water in Tororo now is now stalling. That's why the member of parliament of Tororo municipality is now worried what is going to happen. Just because of death. Madam, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this gentleman was a great man. The man who was a professional in economics. Moreover, at the same time, he was a banker. And there's nowhere in the record where there was an element of corruption, unlike what takes place in this country these days. Totally not, I can't read it. I've read it from all the documentation and I've not seen it, that he was a corrupt man, a secretary. No, he wasn't. I am now appealing to Ugandans that let's emulate the example of Sam. I'm also requesting the people of Tororo to emulate the example of Sam, the man who could smile everywhere. You go and the man is smiling. You know, whenever if you're happy, by the way, Mr. Speaker, when you laugh, each time you're laughing, you're adding 5 seconds to your life. And each time you're annoyed, you're removing 5 seconds from your life. And this man was a man who was laughing all the time. That's why he lived for all those many years. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, he was a man who had a very strong family. He has a very strong momentum to keep the family together. That is Sam. And this is something very, very unique, Mr. Speaker, that all of us must emulate as Ugandans. And he was a Christian, a very strong Christian. He donated even to his church. But some of us here even don't want to support our churches. That's the Sam we're talking about. And then the other, Mr. Speaker, assuming Rotary Club International are not supported this world by giving money for polio vaccine, by now I'm sure we would be having so many PWDs in this parliament. These are realities. That's why we must embrace the attributes, the success, the good story of this man who was actually gone. Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, allow me to read from the Bible because he was a Christian. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13 to 14. I'm only going to read. It says, Brothers and sisters, the Bible is a gender-sensitive book. Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of the mankind who have no hope. For we believe. Okay, sorry. It says, for we believe that Jesus died and rose again. So we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep. And I'm sure when Christ is going to come, the good works that some demonstrated, in fact, we will come back in the crowds and we shall be thanking God. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Family, remain together and God bless you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise to support the motion to pay tribute to the late Rotarian Sam Owori. On behalf of the people of West Budama North, I extend our deepest condolences to the bereaved family and indeed the entire nation upon the demise of not only our national hero but an international icon. Right Honourable Speaker, I wish to associate myself with all the good things that have been said about the late Rotarian Sam. I only wish to add that Sam lived a very exemplary life. A life that was personified with dignity. And you can see the trail he has left behind. If you look at the time he served, he never left behind any trace of any scandal, unlike some of his peers. From the early 70s up to yesterday, the man left behind a very clean record. These are very rare traits. We don't see them these days very often. So these are some of the great attributes that we are going to miss in Rotarian Sam. Sam lived within his means. Despite the abundance of life that he was exposed to, he was a very simple man. He never lived a flash life the way you see our young youths today. They get very little money, but you see them driving huge cars. Sam was a very simple man, but was exposed to very, very good things. And that's what made him to be what he was and enabled him to reach the heights that he scaled. Because being a Rotarian was all about giving to humanity and being selfless while offering services. Another great thing about which I would like to recognize is the fact that, we have heard from several speakers here, but you never heard anybody saying he abused his office at any one moment. Yet he lived at a time, he was serving at a time when the media was not so robust as it is today, that they could follow you even up to your bedroom. No. But despite the fact there was that glaring, the man never abused his office. These are some of the great attributes that we shall dearly miss in the life and the character of the late Rotarian Sam Owori. Right Honourable Speaker, as we say bye to late Rotarian Sam, we get comforted in the Jupadola saying that a kraal that is used to having bulls, a kraal that's used to having a bull, will always have a bull. The late Rotarian Sam was our big bull And that kraal in the Tororo, in the Jopadola land, is always known for producing bulls. I believe, as we say bye to some, another bull will rise and follow in the footsteps that Sam has trended. Fare thee well, Sam. We pray that the Lord grants your soul eternal rest. Thank you.
Is that Tororo?
Thank you very much. On behalf of the people of Tororo County South, I also want to add my voice to those who've spoken here in paying tribute to the late Sam. The country has lost a great leader, an inspiring gentleman who rose in the ranks to the extent of becoming president-elect of Rotary. It is really very unfortunate that before we could enjoy the fruits of Sam's leadership at that highest level, as my honorable colleague Apollo Yeri has said, that a water project was already on its way to Tororo. This is such a great loss, not only for the people of Tororo, the people of this country, and I think the world at large. I pay tribute to the family once again. It is very clear that each of us here will at one time lie like Sam is lying before us. Take heart, be prayerful, and that gap will always be filled by another person Jesus Christ will bring your way. On behalf of the people of Tororo, it has been said that there's a bit of a situation that is not very good in Tororo, but I want to say that we've really missed Sam. Recently, I heard someone told me that Sam was ready to tell the people of Tororo where the boundaries lie, and wanted the people of Tororo to accept the reality and see how we can work together for the development not only of Tororo, but the region and the country at large. So we really miss Sam. That council has gone, but I think the rest of the people who are still living will come to understand that the problems in Tororo are not very big problems, but the reality of where the boundary lies, and we shall remain peaceful, and the Lord will keep all of us. So with those few remarks, I once again want to say to the family of Sam, he has gone, may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Boajo.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to add my voice in respect, paying tribute to Sam. I did not know Sam. I had never met him. But I have heard a lot about him. I listened to my colleagues, and I have taken a decision to join immediately. Therefore, those who come from the Kasangat side should direct me which Rotary I join, because I stay in Kasangat. Right Honorable Speaker, I like the fairness in Rotary, that every after a year they choose another president. So I like the fairness. So you know you are a potential president. And I want to speak like a potential president now that I'm joining an institution where there is fairness. You can, if you're a very good person, you can easily become a president. The doors are not locked. I find solace, Right Honorable Speaker, in that fact that there are very many leaders
within Rotary, and I know that a replacement will be found. I want to reiterate my position that I support the motion, and I want to wish, on behalf of the people of Uweju, Sam a good rest.
Kabweri.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand to support this motion. On behalf of the people of Kabweri, Mama Nora and family, you know who I am. I'm at pains to say what I want to say. I knew Sam Owori when I was a young person. He was a family friend. Mama Nora was a friend to my mother in All Saints Cathedral in Kampala. And Sam was a great friend of the family. I admired everything about him. His humility, his consistency. Being a Rotarian from 1978 to date means a lot about consistency in whatever we decide to do. I'm sorry that General Katumba Wamala is not here, but I was one of the founder members of the Rotary Club of Kampala, Sese. And when I moved to places far away from where Rotary was, I actually jumped ship. So I'm no longer a Rotarian, but I want to commend the late Sam Owori for the consistency he showed. Many of us join groups, and when it begins to look difficult, we find a way out. In our service to this country, what are we doing in terms of consistency? Are we in this thing for our own or for the good of the people who sent us here? Sam's consistency brought him up to almost 40 years in Rotary, and he rose to high levels. Sam was a great Mukedi. I come from Bukedi, and I want to challenge those of us from that little area that we should rise above self. When you're serving our people, the conflicts we have look like they're just guided by our selfish desires. I think we can go back to that old saying of Okwegata Gemanyi, which was the motto for that district many years ago. Unity is strength. If we united, I'm very sure Bukedi would rise and shine again. I know that we don't have time to talk anymore. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to just talk about a man I knew and I loved because he was consistent. He was a Christian. Many of us have talked about his Rotary exploits, as we like to say, but he was a Christian man. His wife was a Christian. He is a Christian. Mama Nora, I remember your song, Kapondo. The rock. I commend you into God's hands as you go through this phase, because I know what it is to lose a partner. My parents are both dead, and I know what you're going through. To the family, God bless you. May his soul rest in peace.
Honorable members, it is 5 o'clock. I'm surprised you are still rising. Time has come for us to close this motion. But honorable members, my apologies to members who are already on my list but have been caught by time. I now put the question to the motion. Honorable members, that Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the bereaved family, relatives, friends, Rotarians, and the people of Uganda at large for the tragic loss of a distinguished son of this country. That Parliament takes cognizance of the dedicated service and contribution that Sam Owori has in the course of his illustrious life rendered to the people of Uganda. And finally, that this Parliament collectively prays to the Almighty God to sustain the bereaved and grant our departed colleague and friend eternal rest. That is the motion. I put the question that motion. Will those in favor say aye? To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Item 6, anthems in reverse order. Members, please stand up. The casket leaves the parliamentary chambers. Honorable members, please remain standing. Honorable members, please resume your seats. Item 7, adjournment.
Honorable members, this brings us to the close of today's special sitting, which was specifically deal with this matter of the passing of an icon in this country, a person who served above himself and looked to the whole world to see how the world can be made a better place for all of us. That is the person we have just paid tribute to, and the spirit that you have shared should really help us. How I wish this House could adopt the four-way test in articulating issues that come before the House. They are very important considerations while you talk about things that affect people. You need to evaluate them and confirm that they are true, rather than coming here and making statements that later on, when checked, they find they contain some elements of factual inexactitudes. I don't want to call them lies for the dignity of the House. But let's embrace the spirit. Let's use them. Let's apply them in this House. And you'll find that mutual respect for each one of us in the way we articulate our issues, in the way we speak about what matters to us most, becomes very important and respectable. Some of the things we lose here is because of the way we present them. They could be very important, but you come out wrongly presenting them, and then you lose the whole thing. This country is for all of us, and there's enough space in this country to accommodate all of us. So let's uplift Uganda as we celebrate a life well lived and a service well delivered by the late Sam Owori. That should be our instruction to move on and help this country. In Rotary, I think they adopt a more global approach to things. You have districts are bigger than countries. You have governors are bigger than presidents. Because the spirit that they evolve is much bigger than the limited way that we apply politics in every situation that comes before us. As human beings, we have a universal language. If a human being is crying, I do not need anybody to translate to me that that person is crying. I'll just know that something is wrong. If somebody is laughing, I do not need anybody to translate to me that somebody is laughing and is happy. I just know God gave us that connection as humans, that we are able to understand some of the things that touch us much, some of the emotion that we come across. We just share without even knowing what has happened. We just know that somebody is grieving. We just know that somebody is happy. Let's celebrate this. And the little things that divide us are really not deeper than the blood that connects us as human beings and as people of this country. So be blessed. The special sitting is adjourned, and the normal sitting of the House, ordinary sitting of the House, resumes tomorrow at 2 o'clock. House adjourned.